Hello everyone. I leased most of my equipment when I started Portrait Pharmaceuticals, and I wanted to share some pros and cons of leasing equipment. There are several kinds of leases, and the types of lease that you choose will be important on the back end. It's important that you know what you're getting yourself into, because as I have learned, you can really make a mess of your finances if you don't. First, there's a lease that is just like a loan for the most part. They charge you a monthly payment, and at the end of the payments, you take possession of the equipment. There's another type where you pay the lease, and at the end of the terms, you have to purchase the equipment for fair market value. If you want to keep it, you can always relinquish it if you don't want it. But if you want to keep the equipment, you have to either purchase it for $1 or fair market value, depending on how the lease is set up. So if you pay fair market value, all of the money that you've paid as part of the lease does not apply to the fair market value. And unfortunately, the fair market value that is determined is by the lease company, and you don't really have a say or a whole lot of negotiating power. So you're kind of at their mercy. When getting a lease, they run your credit like a typical loan, and if you are a small business, it's likely that your personal credit will be used as the basis for the approvals. Leasing is a good way to get equipment that you need to initiate work without a lot of money up front. It helped me get some key pieces of equipment that allowed me to initiate work immediately, that if I had to have purchased the equipment, it would have been really difficult. I have also found that a lot of banks won't do equipment loans on refurbished or used equipment, so that it must be new for them to do a loan for it. The company that you're getting the equipment from usually have several leasing companies that they recommend. Don't take this for granted and just go with them. Do your due diligence and evaluate at least 3 companies. I went with the leasing company that the equipment seller recommended, and it ultimately bit me in the butt. The company I dealt with in the beginning sold my lease to 2 separate companies, and it ended up badly when they had when they didn't have their paperwork in place, and then because they split it up, they split pieces of equipment between the 2 leases that didn't have anything to do with each other. So I would also recommend that you look for a company that has some experience in the kind of equipment that you're trying to lease. Another issue I had was that the original leasing company didn't pay all of the invoices up front, and so I had the equipment manufacturer requesting payment for invoices that the leasing company should have paid and that I was paying for through the lease. The person I dealt with got fired a few months after I signed with them, and that further complicated the resolution of the unpaid invoices. They never took care of them, even after 3 years of trying to rectify it and get them to pay those invoices. Leases can tend to be long-term without a lot of ownership at the end. I don't necessarily recommend purchasing new equipment and taking out loans, but I would encourage you to take the time to read the contracts, price out the leasing companies, and really think about how this is going to be on the back end. I know it's hard to envision where your company is going to be in 4 to 5 years, but you have an idea of what's not going to work based off of your financials. Again, get a lawyer or someone that is familiar with the verbiage so that you can fully understand what's required at the end of the lease. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you have a great day.